And welcome to this week's Gamers on Game. I have Mike Muldoon in the studio. Mike, thank you so much for coming.
Hey, good to be here.
Oh, how about that?
Check.
Check.
Hi.
Number one, play with strangers. You like to play with strangers, don't you?
Actually, the font on this got a little bork. That should be an I.
I play.
It's a hashtag.
It's number one, play with strangers. I got you. Anyways, Infrno.net is what we're here to talk about. Mike Muldoon is our local game. You're a programmer. You're a computer programmer.
I'm a coder and everything else in between.
A monkey coder. And he is the CEO of Infrno, INFRNO.net. And it's an online community for role-playing enthusiasts, providing a virtual conference and shared whiteboard, along with all the tools you need to find players of your caliber, connect with them, and get your game on from any place, anytime.
You're hired.
I love it. Infrno is great. So, Mike, it's a pleasure. This is the second time you've been on, and I'm super grateful to talk to you about it. The reason we wanted to talk is you've got a big deal going on. You've got a launching a demo event.
Yeah, so Infrno at its base level is just it's a social network for the tabletop role playing community, and we include a virtual game table so you can play any of these games. And we've been doing this for a couple of years. Growth has come along nicely. What we've started doing lately, though, is taking this set of tools and creating virtual events around product launches for publishers. So this is the product launch for Outbreak. Wild Kingdom, which is a expansion kit on Outbreak Undead, which is a zombie RPG where you can test all of your zombie survival plans. You actually base your character on yourself, and it's all real world. And, zombies are coming. How's your plan going to hold up? If you don't test it ahead of time, you're really going to,
So why is there a baboon?
Wild Kingdom is an expansion kit that takes a spin on what if the zombie hordes aren't just human. The animal kingdom now come at us as zombies. You got to think these things through, man.
Obviously, I didn't.
Taking out a zombie elephant is a much different proposition than taking out a zombie sixth grader.
This has got to be a first.
They're doing pretty well with it.
Excellent. And so this is happening this Friday.
It starts this Friday. It's going to run through February. We've got, there'll be somewhere between 8 and 15 games in total. Typically, games running different, maybe Fridays, Saturdays, Thursdays. The schedule's still in flux, but you can get up to the date or up to the minute info on the calendar page for the profile or for the event.
And it's free to join Infrno.
All this is free. Yeah.
Infrno.net.
Everything you see on the site will be free forever. We do have premium accounts coming, but that will be new features on top.
And how many games do you have? How many games do you have going on right now? I'm sorry, that's probably a really big question. How many people
it's funny. I look at the data 18, all kinds of ways.
Right.
But,
how do you slice it and dice it?
The metrics that I pay attention to every day are how many hours of gameplay went on yesterday. And that number is, we're averaging 126 hours of gameplay per day over the last 30 days.
And this is from people all over the world?
Yes, definitely North American-centric, but
English-centric.
Korea, I see people from all over Europe, all over...
that's a lot of time. People
it
are
is,
racking up.
And that's, you figure, that's 60 to 80 people per day come on and spend 4 hours playing games on Infrno.
So you're listening to Mike Muldoon, and we are Gamers on Game. You started this company in January of 2009.
Yeah, about there.
So it was nothing. And then you created the platform, and you got investing. Well, tell us a little bit about the process, Mike, because I've had the pleasure of seeing you really, make it.
Yeah, my boss is kind of a pushy guy.
He plays loud music.
Yeah. Stay out of my office. Infrno was really born out of our own needs. Matthew Grau founded it with me. I think actually it was in April, but he and I had been gaming together in Seattle for, about 5 years, going way back. And
what kind of games?
Mostly a little bit of Vampire Masquerade, a whole lot of Cthulhu Tech, which is his game. He is the guy behind Wildfire, and they have a whole line of games. But we had a gaming crew together. We really enjoyed the adventures we were having, and we all moved. And
this is like poof, everybody. Away.
Somebody goes to L.A., somebody goes to Dayton, and next thing you know, your game's dead. Well, we didn't want to stop, so we started using Google Docs and Skype, and there are free online tools of various quality, and we just started fumbling around trying to find things that would meet our needs, and we discovered that nobody really had taken this angle on a service before, so we didn't like the tools that were out there, and we decided to build something to meet our tastes, and figuring we can't be alone in this. I mean, that story about having a group that gets broken up because of school, or somebody goes off and has a kid, or just modern life gets in the way. So we came up with the idea. Literally, I was coming off my last startup, and I had plans to take 6 months off and recharge. And Matt put this idea in my head, and 2 days later, we're off and running in this direction.
And you were motivated.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're building something
so you could play together.
Yeah, there's all too often in software, you'll spend months and months and months and huge budgets on something, and it all is for naught. It fails for any number of reasons. The real magic behind software development, personally, is that one moment when you've built something and all of a sudden you realize you'd be really bummed out if you didn't have it. You've built something that you'd be really sad if it went up in smoke. So right out of the gate, we were building something that we knew we would be using.
Right.
And it's been exciting seeing the community jump in and start running with it in directions we hadn't anticipated. So
this is where the virtual conference, you have video conferencing.
Yeah, it's your kitchen table plus a video feed.
With a video feed. Mm-hmm. Now, for whatever reasons, going into Second Life and playing there wasn't enough for you guys? Were you just not into Second Life? Or because that does seem to solve a lot of the problems that people would have. I don't know, if you wanted to build an avatar and play.
There's certainly any number of different kinds of tools you could use to solve this problem. Second Life, you could role play in there, absolutely.
You'd have to build the space, and people would have to come and meet at certain times.
I'm sure there are people in there doing that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Our style of play is a little bit more narrativistic. We don't. It's all storytelling, and not a whole lot of crunch, not a whole lot of battle grid type stuff.
So you mean role playing? You want to see your friend Matt role playing, and you want to dress up and role play with them and be able to see each other?
I would call. I mean, the minute you start, strapping on outfits, I think you've crossed the chasm into live action role play.
Well, that's what the beauty of Infrno is that you can do that together, right?
You certainly could. I've never seen anybody show up at the table in a costume, though.
Hey, this could be a whole new day. It's a great idea.
I like it.
I mean, that's the beauty of having the conferencing, the video conferencing. You could see your players who you're playing with.
Yeah, that is. So play-by-post sort of came along as a way for people to keep their games going, and that's straight up text, email, maybe forums where they're commenting back and forth and keeping the gameplay going that way. Video chat really just gets you sort of the nonverbal cues, and there are even games out there that leverage this idea, such as Inspectors has a confessional moment where you look directly into the according to the rule book, you are speaking into the camera like a reality television show confessional moment might use, and video chat is more than perfect for that. It's exactly what you need to affect that kind of a stylistic moment. So it's, at the end of the day, it's just a different kind of tool. There are other game tables out there with different kinds of tool sets. We built one that was as simple and clean and as lightweight as we could get away with, because that's all we really wanted.
But it's evolved since then.
It's coming along, yeah.
Yeah.
We're rolling out some new tools, and it's always evolving.
Tell us some of the new tools you're looking at.
I'm sorry?
Tell us what are these new rules that you're looking at rolling out?
Well, new tools would be custom libraries. So right now the game table has baked in a series of shapes and maps and things, and it's all very generic. It was just whatever I could get out as quickly as I could. Giving publishers and then someday users the ability to author their own, let's call it a map pack or a shape library, is an obvious win for publishers. They already have mountains of these assets on hand, and turning that into a virtual goods revenue stream for them is going to be huge.
So you would be, as a subscriber, you would pay for these various packs.
That's one potential revenue model.
So let's say I'm a big Dungeons and Dragon player, and I just need that dungeon, and I see a beautiful one on your Infrno.net and want to play with it, or.
Mm-hmm. Going way back to the days of the first D&D publications, printing scenarios or campaign adventures has been a revenue model that's been around since the dawn of the publishing sector for this gaming stuff. And giving them a digital avenue to do this is just a way for them to make to earn money off of assets that have already been paid for. So, this is not a new pattern. This is a publisher says, here's a setting and some maps and some backstory, and here are all the animals, and here is the adventure, and here's how to run it for your players. And the price points on that in hardcover, or they're all paperback, or all over the map. It's the ebook version of a campaign setting.
Right.
And what we're rolling out right now is the back-end infrastructure to facilitate that. So it's a whole dynamic. It's the authoring tool. It's the ability to push it up and make it available for sale, and then the rest of that carrying it forward to getting it onto the table for the players.
When do you think that the authoring tools will be ready? Because this seems like a really great place for people that have had this idea for a board game that they want to play, role play game, and they can create it with Infrno.net.
The authoring tool is actually done. So we'll be pushing out we should be getting through QA on this round of features here this week. This is all this month. It's just a matter of how many more unforeseen technical glitches are around the corner. But the biggest part of that is that the authoring tool is actually done. That's shipped. And now it's just the rest of the administrative flow. We will be rolling out privacy features for paying subscribers. So specifically, so publishers can create an account on Infrno and run a game that nobody else can see, so they can actually do development work and playtesting using Infrno as a tool to speed up that process without actually having to reveal it to the world.
You are listening to Mike Muldoon talk about his company, Infrno, INFRNO.net. This is the online community for role-playing enthusiasts. Mike comes at it because he's a role-playing enthusiast who didn't want to have his crew broken up by geography.
It sounds sad.
And created this virtual place. It's so beautiful. I love it, Mike.
You have no idea how often I get that exact story. We go to conventions. We have a pretty good marketing effort in that regard, and it's, hey, here's Infrno. A couple of guys come up and they're like, Billy's going to school next month, and we were just going to put our game in a hiatus until Christmas, and now we can play here. Or, I've got a kid now, and I can't even get across town for a 6-hour game on Sunday. So this is, by making it easier for people to connect, people will play more. That's the basic premise of Infrno, and we're seeing that. We've got a year and a half of data now on usage patterns, and game table traffic is up 20% since last month.
Wow,
which is huge. We've never seen a spike like that, and we're looking hard at the sort of, these sort of publisher events have clearly got some significant influence on that.
So what's the big one that's in Indianapolis?
Gen Con.
When's that coming up?
I think that's August. They moved it.
Oh, from the spring to fall now.
Well, it went from September to August, or vice versa.
Oh.
But it's 6 months out.
6 months out.
Well, 8.
Mm-hmm. And this is a place that you go to and have had people use Infrno.net.
We've gone to, we launched at Gen Con. We are strategic partners with them. Peter, the CEO, Peter, the owner, and Adrian, the CEO, are friends of ours going back 15 years. And, they're advising us and telling us how to not make the horrible mistakes that
they made.
that could be made.
Right.
Anyway, so they're friends, and Gen Con is the largest convention for this market segment in North America. Attendance is something like 32,000 at this point, and it's 4 or 5 days in Indianapolis. It's
who would do that?
It's a zoo. I mean, who wouldn't?
Well, I'm just thinking. I'm from Indiana, so it's like pretty hard to get me to go back there. But this is a conference that is people are coming from all over the world. You told me a really great story the last time you were on about some problem solving that's happening through role playing games, mm-hmm. and putting to use this fertile imagination of these people that are playing, mm-hmm. to solve some really difficult political real world problems.
I think the paper I cited was looking at water resource management in Bangalore, where they have taken several of the parties, the farmers and some of the local politicians and some of the businessmen and residents, and made them role play their problem and try to explore what the different outcomes would be of what are the variables they can manipulate, what sort of deals could be struck, how would that play out? So if you gave all the power to the farmers, what would happen to the other three parties, what would happen to the economy? This is using gaming and just putting people in a situation, in this case as themselves, and just trying to explore the problem to come up with alternative solutions or understand the other people's positions and perhaps create some compassion there where there may not have been any before. There are lots of people talking about, I mean, this is an idea that seems pretty crazy at first, but, the military has been running these kinds of games forever.
That's right.
Model UN has this, a lot of these ideas at the core.
Yeah, we had Aaron Barr on. Aaron Barr is a serious game researcher who also worked for DARPA and was figuring out how to get through Iraq with your convoy, mm-hmm. and making it a game. And so the people that played the convoy game had higher life. We're able to live through longer, because usually I guess what happens is the soldiers die within a month. Like they get in there and something happens, and the guys that stay longer, their survival rates go up. Mm-hmm. Well, they were able to help the survival rates go even up more by having this game where they have to figure out how to get the convoy from one place to another, and where would be the places that somebody might want to put a bomb or whatever to stop that convoy. And those people that played it survived more.
Training, yeah.
Yeah, training, exactly.
So the other example I said last time was a game called National Security Decision Making, and it is all of these ideas on possibly the largest scale you can imagine. It's 100 players.
And this is at Gen Con.
They only do this at Gen Con, and maybe a handful of other. I mean, it's tough to get 100 people together to play a game, and it's a 12-hour game. You've got 10 or 12 referees, and the referees are guys who spent 20 years at the State Department. So, they're subject matter experts in whatever the game is you're playing. They run current events,
national
what's going on
problems
in Egypt right now. Let's play that. Or counterfactuals. Let's say John Glenn dies on the space pad. What does that do to the space race? What does that do to the Cold War? Follow the ripples out. And then again, because the referees are subject matter experts, you may not know much about Egyptian politics, but this guy knows everything. And he teaches you what you need to know to make the decisions. You make your decisions, they huddle, come back with results, and you iterate, and you just follow cause and effect.
Are these things being captured, Mike?
Actually,
these
very
sessions
little.
would be so awesome. I mean, to have a community such as this, a gaming community, come out with some really extraordinary solutions to problems and be able to say, yeah, we got that out of Gen Con.
It would be awesome, and almost none of it is being written up. You know, I played one game of NSDM, and while the judges were in the back huddling and trying to figure out, they try to rank you, all the players, and there's a top 10 out of these 100 people, and it's ranked by how effective were you at executing on the agenda they gave you, and creativity and all these other things, and honest to your motives and et cetera, et cetera. And while they're off there judging for 15 minutes, you got 100 people in a room, and people are just standing up at random and to talk about what awesome little thing they did and how, what sort of backroom deal they did to pull off something. And the leader of Korea died in our game, and everybody thought he'd been assassinated, but no, it was that guy who did this to that and caused him to be, and all of that's gone. We had that story together, and nobody in that entire game actually knows the full extent of everything that happened because it's just so chaotic.
There's so much.
Yeah, it's 6-8 hours of just people, side deals and conversations, and it's if we could capture or facilitate this kind of game on Infrno, you then have the opportunity to record the whole thing and actually have some post-op write-ups and things and actually chronicle these things.
So, Mike Muldoon, CEO of Infrno.net, are you saying that I could have a video conferencing game session with my role-playing gang across the world and videotape it as it's happening?
Yes.
Or capture it. I guess it'd be a screen capture as it's happening.
We don't support recording yet, but that's coming. That will be another premium feature, the ability to archive all of your game's video feeds. But at a minimum, what you could do now is actually blog. We have in-character blogging is one of the things we knew would be useful and turned out to just be insanely fun. You sit down, and instead of writing down notes, 2 paragraphs that go in a notebook on your bookshelf, you get to sit down and write a blog as your character. And now we get to look back at our game archives, and the GM's got his blog articles, and you just got all of this content telling your epic story from everybody's perspective, and it captures and publishes it in a way that literally you could not do without this online publishing tool.
Let's get geeky for just a second. Mike Muldoon, tell me, what are you building? What is Infrno built in?
The back end is Ruby on Rails. That's all the social networking stuff. The game table itself is a Flash app.
So that's kind of taking it out of the iPad.
Well, video conferencing was a requirement, and there is nothing else out there except for Flash to handle that. Well, if you want to install plugins or third-party apps, you've got some options, but the Flash penetration really made that a simple decision.
Okay, keep going, sorry.
So that's all in Flash. The back end is... Well, it's Rails for the SOCNet, but the backend for the Flash stuff is Wowza, which is a mid-range Flash media server alternate, and then there's a little bit, and that's all written in Java for those extensions. A little bit of Python here and there for some housekeeping, and half a dozen analytics packages for logs.
Right. And then when I'm ready and I'm going to be to use your authoring tool on Infrno.net, how much programming am I going to need to have?
You need to be able to type.
I don't have to have HTML5.
No. We have it's all straight text. There are rich text editors to allow you to insert images and links and movies. So, if you can operate Word, you can come in here and make some pretty cool looking content.
Oh my God, this is so great. I can't wait to hear the next rendition of Infrno.net. It's been really a pleasure to watch you bloom, Mike. It's been great. You and your company, it's fabulous.
We're just trying to win nerds over.
But we want to just make sure we got everybody understanding that this Friday is the launch of the game on Infrno.net, Outbreak Wild Kingdom, and it's the first expansion for Outbreak Undead. And watch out, folks, the Wild Kingdom has become zombified.
Come kill some zombies.
If you're gonna kill something, kill zombies. Yeah. So have you tested it?
I haven't actually had time to play it yet.
Because I'm wondering how do you bring down a zombie elephant?
Carefully.
Carefully. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to this week's Gamers on Game. It's been a great pleasure. Mike Muldoon, once again, thank you. Please stay tuned for Unfiltered Camels, that fabulous Middle Eastern, rockin', exotic. It's been playing for 20 years, Unfiltered Camels, here at KZSC. If you missed any part of this program, please do not fear. Artistonart.com. You also got gamersongame.com. You'll have everything, and you'll get to see the video of Mike Muldoon and I talking. Please stay tuned, and thanks again for listening.